And we will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came.
Now that Trump's president, are people worried that they're going to be deported?
Sanctuary cities are going to get exactly what they don't want. More agents in the neighborhood and more collateral arrests.
Are you willing to get arrested to defend the migrants here?
I will defend them by any means necessary.
Today I'm here in New York City, the largest sanctuary city in all of America, as upwards of 300,000 illegal migrants have been sent here from the southern border. And now with Donald Trump being sworn in as the 47th president of the United States, he pledged in his inaugural address to deport millions upon millions of illegal migrants. In fact, his first executive order he signed was declaring the U.S. border as a national security threat, and he declared cartels and migrant gangs like Tren de Aragua as terrorist organizations. And we know Tren de Aragua is here in New York City, as they have attacked NYPD and carried out multiple other crimes across the city. And Tom Homan, the new border czar, has said multiple times that mass deportations will start day one of Donald Trump's presidency. So today here in New York City, we're seeing how they're going to be carrying out what will be the largest mass deportation effort in American history. I'll be giving you guys an exclusive look as I'll be able to speak with the migrants going to the migrant shelters, and we'll see how ICE and other government officials will be carrying out what will be the largest mass deportation effort in American history. Let's get this started and let's go see how this will all happen here in New York City. It has been somewhat unclear as to how mass deportations will happen in these large sanctuary cities, but for example, in New York City, they have a massive migrant shelter system with over 150 plus shelters where migrants live completely free. These are rumored to be prime targets for ICE. This is the Roosevelt Hotel. This is the main migrant shelter here in New York City, where each migrant typically arrives and then they are then sent throughout New York City, and they are sent to a processing center right next door. Next to the Roosevelt Hotel is the Migrant Processing Center, where they took over this bar and they've been using it for the past 4 years, and this is the first time in nearly 4 years that there are no migrants inside of this building right here that are being processed to be moved throughout New York City. Typically, National Guard was right here. However, there's no sign of them at all. And this is the first time in nearly 4 years that there's nobody. And like I said, this is the first time in nearly 4 years that there are no migrants being processed in New York City currently. Before speaking with the migrants, I wanted to ask security if they had any information on deportations. Have you guys seen anything with the like ICE or anything coming through? No, nothing yet? Do you think they're coming through anytime soon? What's it like inside right now?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Not sure?
Yeah, I can't answer those questions.
Okay, are a lot of people leaving right now to like go elsewhere outside the shelters?
No comment.
Has there been any news or any information on what's going to be happening to these migrant shelters?
Can answer no questions, sir.
What's happening inside the shelters right now? ¿Qué está pasando en los shelters ahora? Now that Trump's president, are people worried that they're going to be deported? Are migrants going to other locations now? ¿Qué está pasando?
Sí, se están moviendo. Sí, por el temor. Temor a que los saquen y eso, pero o sea, debemos tener claro que nosotros no estamos de manera ilegal, pues nosotros entramos de una forma regular aquí a Estados Unidos, nosotros tenemos el permiso de trabajo, tenemos el social y pues debemos tener calma.
And now, are you guys worried about being deported?
Claro, alguna represalia, pero como digo, pues no, o sea, debemos tener calma porque estamos de una manera regular.
And how did you enter into the United States?
Mediante el CBP-1.
And ¿de dónde son?
Venezuela.
So now inside the shelters, are a lot of people leaving, and where are they leaving to?
Pues los están moviendo a los estados. Por ejemplo, Dakota del Norte, Texas, se están yendo de Nueva York.
And so they're just leaving New York City completely.
Sí.
How long have you guys been here for? ¿Por cuánto tiempo lleva aquí?
Yo entré en agosto.
¿Y usted?
Yo entré el 9 de diciembre. También por CBP-1.
And are you worried about being deported since you did just get here a month ago?
Sí, estoy claro, tengo esa zozobra porque no se sabe qué va a pasar, pues. Porque a pesar de que uno entró con un estatus legal por la aplicación CBP-1, no se sabe si de repente todo cambia.
Have you guys heard anything about ICE coming into the hotels or anything like that?
Sí, sí he escuchado.
¿Y han entrado ellos?
No, hasta ahorita, bueno, por lo menos en el cheste donde yo estoy, hasta ahorita no han entrado ni...
Have you heard of any other migrants being deported recently since Donald Trump has been inaugurated as president?
No, hasta ahorita no. Han pasado TikTok, pero en otros lados, que si en Chicago y bromas así, pues, de que en otros estados, pues.
And are there a lot of people inside the shelter right now that are leaving?
Aquí, sí. Sí, hay por la misma zozobra, pues, que no se sabe qué va a pasar, entonces la gente prefiere antes que los agarren, pero como uno dice.
And if ICE comes to get you, for instance, what will you do?
No, si me viene a buscar a mí, yo le enseño mis papeles, pues, lo que me dieron cuando yo entré por migración.
And if they deport you, what are you going to do?
No, bueno, o sea, no, sabes que Venezuela no tiene convenio con Estados Unidos, no sabría decirte para dónde me irán a llevar. Si para México, si para Colombia, no sé.
But would the government of Venezuela accept you? Pero
No sé si uno, porque yo metí un asilo, pero yo metí un caso de asilo ya aquí, no sé si de repente nos aceptarían allá o de repente lo metan a uno preso porque lo tomen a uno como traidor a la patria, no sabemos.
And because he did just come in the United States in December, just a month ago, are there still a lot of migrants over in Mexico that were trying to come in the United States?
Todavía queda, porque mucha gente que quedó, ¿sabes que eliminaron la CBP-1?
The app that the Biden administration created to let migrants into the United States, the CBP-1 app, the app has now been shut down by Donald Trump in his first day in office. This shows that Donald Trump is not joking when he said he was going to do what he was going to do about the border thus far.
And a lot of migrants that did cross the border did have children here because of the birthright citizenship that they are able to receive once they cross in the United States. Are a lot of other migrants inside the shelter worried about losing birthright citizenship?
Sí, sí, están temerosos. Sí, tengo una amiga que tiene un bebé que nació aquí.
And how many migrants inside of this shelter, for instance, had babies when they arrived here to the United States? What do you think?
Miles de migrantes tuvieron bebés y claro, están esperando temerosos a ver qué va a pasar con sus bebés.
Was that one of the main strategies that people were planning to be able to stay inside the United States, was to have a baby here? That way the baby would get birthright citizenship and then be able to stay here in the United States if they did start deporting migrants?
No tanto por no ser deportados, yo creo que es más por la seguridad de los niños. Para tener un bebé en Venezuela no es viable, pues no es recomendable, todo te lo piden, todo lo tienes que pagar.
And migrants are now moving out with all their bags and everything like that because they're worried that ICE is going to come through, and when ICE does come through, it's very probable that they'll start inside these big hotels like the Rosa Hotel, as there are thousands of migrants just sitting there inside of their rooms.
And these mass deportations will face a lot of opposition, especially in places like New York. For instance, the Attorney General of New York posted saying New York has laws that protect immigrants and limit cooperation with federal immigration enforcement efforts. This is implying they're going to do everything they can to stop ICE from coming in and deporting migrants. And outside the Rosa Hotel, there were people handing out flyers to support and tell these migrants where to go to avoid deportations.
They're getting them a list of shelters not to go to that could be prime targets for ICE to start coming in and deporting these migrants. So what are you guys doing out here today?
We're trying to let people know that Randall's Island is not safe. And so if you're an immigrant who is being sent to Randall's Island, do not go. Do not board the bus. If you are on Randall's Island right now, leave. That is going to be a target for Trump's raids.
What do you think is going to happen? Do you think Trump's going to come through here and deport all these migrants?
I think Trump is going to try and get a victory any way that he can.
So what do you think happens when the deportations do start beginning?
There are plenty of ways to stop raids, and we've seen that during Trump's first presidency.
So what should these migrants do if ICE does show up to the hotels?
Block the doors, defend each other, get other people in the neighborhood or around the area to join. Call us, and we will send people. Defend it by any means necessary.
Who do you guys work with?
The Coalition to Defend Affirmative Action, Integration, and Immigrant Rights, and Fight for Equality by any means necessary. This is our longer flyer.
Okay, and what's this longer flyer for?
One, making clear that fascism has been elected into the presidency, but the reason why is because the Democrats were too weak to actually defeat Trump's movement. So now we have to defeat it in the streets.
Are you willing to get arrested to defend the migrants here?
I will defend them by any means necessary.
And what would be your message to those Americans that are in support of mass deportation?
You're gonna find out that fascism turns on its own movement all the time.
So Trump's a fascist?
Yes, absolutely. The people who voted for him, even if they're not directly fascists, they were okay with a fascist taking power.
Even if some of these migrants did cross over the border illegally, you think they should be protected?
Hawaii is about to be underwater.
This guy is a migrant that's been here for 30 years. Está legal, ¿cierto?
30 años.
And are you in support of mass deportations, Esther?
Sí, la apoyo. Ellos vinieron a robar.
And are there a lot of migrants inside the shelter right now trying to go to other locations to avoid ICE?
Sí, se van para otro país, pues no tienen dinero para arrendar país. Tienen que irse.
What country are they going to? ¿A qué país se van?
Para Colombia, para otro lado, pues, para se le haga más económico. Porque...
So are migrants starting to deport themselves? ¿Hay migrantes que están deportándose a sí mismos?
Sí.
What do you guys think is going to happen with the mass deportation?
I have no idea. I mean, I hope New York's a sanctuary city, so I hope that has some effect.
Do you think illegal immigrants that cross the border should be able to have birthright citizenship if they have a baby once they cross the border?
Well, I think that the Constitution should be upheld. So I think that the 14th Amendment should be upheld. So people born in the United States, regardless of who their parents are, I think should have birthright citizenship, whether or not it's immigrants or not.
I then headed to the Watson Hotel and I tried to go inside of the building, but as soon as I walked in, I was shut down.
What's going to happen if ICE comes through? What's going to happen if ICE comes through? Right here, has ICE came through yet? They got the security guards out right now. Looks like they're trying to hold the front line. They're not letting anybody even get close. Me, I walked across. They freaked out. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens if ICE does show up to these migrant shelters. Are these security guards going to be the ones that try to stop them from coming in? Or is ICE going to be able to go through and carry out the deportations? A lot of people are leaving right now. A lot of people are coming out with luggages. And it looks like they're trying to get to a different place to avoid a mass deportation here inside the Watson Hotel. Where do you think these people go to try to avoid the deportations?
Now they'll probably go to places where there's not a lot of people, more of the central states, I'm pretty sure.
Now we might just see another mass migration into the central part of the United States.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Obviously, now that Trump's in office, what do you think happens with all the migrants inside these migrant shelters?
So what I've heard from a couple people who work for them is that as soon as Trump got in, a lot of people kind of spread out and left. And I'm worried that Mayor Adams is going to make a deal with Trump to get off from all the sketch shit he does and then allow Trump to come into the city, even though we're a city that allows that.
And do you support mass deportations as far as like, no. what do you think is going to happen then with all these migrants? Because Trump said he's going to deport millions of people, yet people are inside the shelters coming in and out right now.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like most of the Trump stuff, right, is that he goes to the extreme end of what, some of people in the country think should happen, but that it will end up being somewhere much closer to the middle because we'll fight back. The left will fight back.
Yeah. Would you be willing to house some of these migrants to keep them away from ICE officials?
No, I would not. No, I would not.
And do you mind your tax dollars going to funding these shelters and paying for these people's rent, their health insurance, their food?
Actually, it's a form of charity. What bothers me more is the corruption in the government, quite frankly. For instance, I just paid $9 to come from 60th Street to park my car. That bothers me more.
Do you think mass deportations are going to happen here in New York City?
God forbid, and they'll prevent him from doing that because he's not allowed.
Do you think Donald Trump will be successful in mass deportations in New York City?
I really feel sorry for everybody involved with that. Come on, they're looking for a better life. He can't be so nasty.
Should the United States, Donald Trump, Tom Homan, should they deport them or let them stay?
They should allow them to stay. And proceed into society.
What do you think about Donald Trump wanting to get rid of birthright citizenship?
Outrageous. I just think it's outrageous. You're born here, you're American.
We've talked with a lot of people today, and a lot of people aren't in support of mass deportations. Are you for or against mass deportations?
I am, yeah.
Why do you think there's so many people that are against these mass deportations that Donald Trump's going to be trying to do here in New York?
Because they want an open border, and that's why there's so many people here illegally.
We've been going to a lot of these migrant shelters today, and a lot of people are leaving. And they say they're going to big central states. One person even said North Dakota.
Oh, yeah?
Do you think now these mass deportations are going to start happening? We're going to see a new migration of migrants going to central states like Kansas, Missouri.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And there's already a bunch of people that are there.
And how long do you think it'll take for Donald Trump and Tom Homan in the United States to deport the millions of migrants that they have promised to deport?
It's going to take a little bit of time. The country's huge. Plus, you have the cities that have to be on their side as well. So it takes both to cooperate. But at the end of the day, I think it'll get done. Are we going to get all 100%? No, but it will get done.
We have now been to the Roosevelt, the Watson, and now we are outside of the Row Hotel. These are the three most controversial and largest migrant shelters in downtown Manhattan, and there are absolutely no signs of any ICE agents or ICE officials or government officials here outside these migrant shelters. And we have not seen a single deportation happen today. And right now, life looks pretty normal for these migrants as they do not seem to be too worried other than the migrants that have left with their suitcases to go to different locations to try and avoid these deportations. But right now, no signs of mass deportations happening in New York City. What do you think happens with the mass deportations here in New York City? Right now, we haven't seen anything so far. We're just a few days into Donald Trump's presidency. When do you think they're going to start carrying out these deportations?
I have heard that people have left in advance because of the fear that they have of the new administration. Personally, as a child of an immigrant who came here legally, I think that it's only right. The whole thing has gotten out of control, and so you do have to take dramatic measures to get it back to what it was. And as bad as you may feel for people, there is always a right way to go about things, and we have to fix the system. So,
do you believe that different times call for different measures, especially with Donald Trump now putting an executive order to get rid of birthright citizenship? Do you think that's right of him to do? Because theoretically, if all these migrants that came in, they're saying upwards of 10 to 20 million, each have a child, it's very likely then that if that family is a family of 3 or 4, they are all eventually granted residency or citizenship here. Do you think it's right of Donald Trump to try and stop and end birthright citizenship?
I think that it would be wrong to do so for people that have already been born here, because how are you going to strip away the identity of someone who was born here? But I think that he could put a halt to it for anyone that is going to be born from now on. The Constitution was not written for this many people coming in. Plain and simple. It wasn't written for millions and millions.
Because that could dramatically shift the demographic of the United States.
Yeah, and ultimately, we, as Eric Adams has already acknowledged, we don't have the resources to care for so many people that have come in. And I understand why New Yorkers voted so red this election, because they're citizens seeing free lunch given to people that might not even have a name, and it's not fair.
Although we did not see deportation in New York City, it does look like there have been multiple deportations in certain areas across America. Give this video a like, subscribe, and I'll be keeping you guys up to date as far as how mass deportations go across America in these coming weeks. This is Nick, and I will see you next video.